turning back.
Welcome to the Last Boy Scouts podcast.
We're back with another episode.
Yeah, just pretty tired.
Well, yeah, we just finished up a monster training.
Yeah, that session was as tough as there's a couple of people missing, but for the most part, it was really hot. It was really hot and really sweaty, and lots of good training, lots of good rounds, 20 rounds, which is usually the goal, right? Like, man, sometimes I don't do 20 rounds. I was talking to a couple people and they were like, it's pretty rare for academies to do 20 rounds. I don't know if that's true, but probably like hobbyists or like, where you don't have a really big competition team. It's probably, a lot of like sitting around bullshitting and every once in a while train. I know Kyle was telling me that that was the gym that he was at before. It was most of the time just him and the professor that would stick around.
That's crazy.
And train. And yeah, it's kind of like we have a gift. We train.
Yeah.
Almost every class has then an open mat associated with it. And for the most part, a lot of times I don't remember a time when we don't do 20 rounds.
That's all I've known.
Yeah.
Right. To be honest, that's all I've known in jiu-jitsu is 20 rounds. And and to be quite frank, I appreciate being pushed. Like I appreciate when the black belts step up and say, train the whole time, train the whole time. Dude, my body has transformed
for sure
incredibly in the last 3 years, 2.5 years that I've been training. Right. I was telling Anthony, I started at about 240.
Oh yeah, we talked about that a little bit, didn't we?
I started about 240 when I was there, and I was about 190. Now I was called out on it, so I'm gonna have to prove it. But before the last competition, I wanted to wrestle in that, or I wanted to fight in that 190.
Yeah, and he said that you hadn't hit 190 since high school. Yeah, you have a big frame. You can see people transform, but Anthony's one of those guys that transforms, man. When he's training a lot, that you're like, God damn, that dude is. Yeah, he's a monster. I know I can see on my body, my wrists. There was a time when I could, reach around and touch my fingers on my wrist, and we were talking about that with Professor. But it's because you start to develop these bones and these muscles that you use with grips, and he was saying, that's kind of one of those things where like. Not to take away from no gi, but gi, it's one of the things that you get, you have, all day long, you're just like grabbing and grinding and pulling on these ropes, making it tight, not letting it go, squeezing that muscle. And, it causes a transformation. And when you see guys start to come in and you see the transformation, you're like, dang, man, your body looks different, right? Yeah. And it's really cool because, paying a compliment to a guy like that, it might be the only time they hear it, because it's not like a lot of people are telling you, hey, you look good, or, hey, I really like your body type. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you hear that all the time.
Believe it or not, that stuff feels good, right? Like, there's a lot of men, there's a lot of dad bod body shaming. Sure. Like, we don't mean to be like this. I've actually, and this is, I think this is a great topic. Like, we are in Pride Month, but it is men's mental health awareness. So this will be the last episode for this month. I know we covered the topic about this time last year, and I'm sure we'll touch on it. But like, just what an important way to like a reminder to like just like be kind to yourself, right? Yeah. Like I've been working the 10-step program again, just because I've really been struggling the last few weeks as I've been writing the eulogy for my brother, as I've just been a bit stuck in my past, trying to get out of this pattern of thinking. Yeah. I'm working the 10 steps because I see the pattern as an addiction. Yeah. And it's really like I've started curating a list of like, I use food to change my mental and emotional state. Oh, I did not realize that until probably COVID, and I started working from home where I'm bored or I'm feeling lethargic, and I'm like, well, maybe this food will change my state. And so we do that. We eat junk food. And I would say that I'm willing to bet, and I've got no science to back it up, but I'm willing to bet a majority of obesity in just about everybody is just this need to change their mental or emotional state.
And you get like where the food makes you in your mind feel better.
You get that dopamine hit. You get that sugar high, that dopamine, the sweet, and it's a relatively cheap thrill, and it's not seen the same as a heroin addiction or a meth addiction or an alcohol addiction, right? Sometimes these things, they just come off so
flippant.
Yeah, and then they're very sinister.
Yeah,
like they're very sinister, right? Like that McDonald's will give you, 4 cheeseburgers for $5 or whatever like that, and the next thing you know, you're craving that greasy stuff.
It's true, and I personally don't have a bad relationship with food. Like I don't eat a lot. I mean, I cook my food at work. Today I had a really bad experience with food. It bummed me out so bad. I didn't get up in time to make my lunch. Usually I'll make my lunch before I go to bed, but I got home late and I was like, you know what, I'll get up early and I'll do it. And I just was like, screw it. I'll go get something today. I'll just go to there's an Apollo burger. Have you ever had Apollo burger?
Yeah.
I really like their burgers and I really like their bacon cheeseburger. So go there and dude, it was hot. It's downtown Salt Lake. And so there were so many homeless people coming to my window, walking around and it's such a bummer because you're like, do you roll down the window and say no? Or do you just pretend like they're not there? I was bummed. I was like, this is such a bummer, man. Like here I am going to go buy my food while these people are suffering. Right. And I just kind of had a bad feeling. Order my food, go back to work, go to eat it. And I look in the bag and I'm like, this is nowhere near what I ordered.
That's the worst.
It was. And you know me, I'm not a spicy type. I like chips and salsa. I like, I can handle a little bit of spice, but not much. I don't have a spicy palate. It was this cheeseburger that had spicy sauce and jalapenos with green chilies on it. I had to damn near scrape everything off of the burger. And I was so bummed, and I was like, why did I do that? Why did I even waste the time with that? And it bummed me out so bad that and then I thought to myself, man, what a first world problem, right? Bummed out about. Like you're talking about this, people that we're talking about people that suffer, and here I am, I'm upset that my cheeseburger was not the way that I wanted it, know, and I was like, gosh, man, come on, be a better person, and it bummed me out.
It is worse. It is the worst when you get the wrong order and you spend your hard-earned money. There's a lot of reasons to be bummed out.
Yeah, and I knew that I wasn't going to feel like I was like, okay, well, it's 11 o'clock. So I got 7 hours before jiu-jitsu. So I was like, okay, I'll be fine. Because then I was like, man, I'm going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
Kind of acid reflux.
Yeah. You get guy putting pressure on you.
But as far as the men's mental health awareness, I think even guys, being around each other, paying each other compliments, instead of being we've talked about it 100 times, this character of alpha males that are like, I'm this tough guy and I'm going to pretend to be tough. I'm going to put on this facade and I'm going to carry myself as a tough guy. I listened to Tank Abbott's podcast with Joe Rogan, and Tank Abbott was one of my favorite fighters back in the day for UFC. He was the epitome of knew how to sell the fights, knew how to be the tough guy. And he was talking about how back in the day he would fight 2 or 3 times a week, bare knuckles, at a bar, on the road, had that attitude of I am down to fight whenever. He said he was an angry person. He would get kind of narcissistic. He would say things that he knew you were going to make a statement about or try to correct him about just so he could pick a fight with you. And later on in life, he's like, man, I look back and I'm like, why? What was it about? Yes, I'm a tough guy. Yes, I'm a tough guy. Yes, I had a good life. I lived a good life. He goes, but I'm not proud of any of those things. I never look back and go, man, that was awesome. I really made that person feel like shit. You know, you don't have those feelings. And that's a lot of like how I think also is like when you're playing this like facade of like alpha male or what they expect you to be, like this tough guy, like all these guys that you see on social media that I get so bummed out about, so turned off. Like then I turn my social media off because I'm like, man, I don't want to see you. I don't want to know what you're doing. I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
They had that Weston guy, Weston, I think his name.
The guy that was in prison, the gym.
Yeah, like he jumped all over some guy about how he looked just because the guy who disagreed with what he said. And it was like so ugly. Like I was so bummed out about what he said.
Well, it's so interesting when somebody does something like that, right? When they switch the topic because they can't defend their position and they switch the topic to somebody's appearance, somebody's bank account. Like
and you start picking on that person.
You're acting really from a place of insecurity.
Sure.
Right? Like that is childish behavior.
And he ended up telling him I'd punch him. He was going to punch him in the face or something like that. And the guy was like, "What is?"
Because I disagree with you.
How did we get to that point? And I think to myself, like, yeah, man. There's times when I've been like a jerk and I've like picked on a person, you know, and I don't like that about myself. But now I really get bummed when all of a sudden some dude is just like making fun of another guy.
Yeah.
And you can tell that the guy is like probably already insecure about what he's saying anyways. And that guy is just like picking on him. And I want to be like, why are you treating that person like that? Part of the thing that I struggle with is like, both those guys know me as somebody that used to pick on people, you know, and I think, am I being holier than thou at that moment? Should I say something? And then that person goes, hey, you do the exact same thing. How come it's okay for you to pick on people and to, you know, nitpick and to like goad and to tease? And when is teasing not teasing? When is it just being a jerk? You know, when is it bullying?
Yeah.
I struggle with that because I don't say anything, and I should, man. I feel like I should.
Well, I mean, I think we all struggle with that, right? Like through teasing, right? Like teasing sometimes can go too far, right? Like we're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
We say something we don't take into account like somebody else's mental or emotional state, right? Like we can knock that shit off. Like we really should be more focused on building each other up rather than cutting each other down. Now, that's not to say it's not fun to like throw jabs at people, but you gotta know that person and know your limits, man. Like don't be so ashamed to apologize when you've done wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's humbling. That takes some humility to actually to say, hey, I screwed up. I think we don't give ourselves the opportunity to change as much as we need to, the grace to change.
Yeah.
Men should I will always be a work in progress. I will never, if I remain stagnant, like that to me is the scariest.
Yeah.
And part of my problem is that I put myself in okay, I want this. Now I've got to push myself to that. And I start getting sad and depressed when shit's not going as fast or as needy as I need.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, or you're not seeing the gains that you think you should be seeing.
Right.
Or that you're putting in all this effort and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not seeing the gains. It's almost like jiu-jitsu where you cannot see your own progress.
Right.
You're not capable of seeing how you're progressing and what you're doing. But everybody around you, if they were to like nitpick at what you were already bummed out about, you would feel worse, right?
Yeah.
Or if they were to like pick you up and be like, Tyler, don't you see this part of your success?
Yeah.
Then you would like change the narrative in your head. And
you should be able to, right? There's a lot of people that struggle, and I definitely tend to be on that spectrum that have this kind of learned pattern of helplessness, which is clinically depression, right? Sure. Like depression. We have when our brain has when we've programmed our reticular activation system, the part of our brain that picks up patterns. Quite often, those of us who are maladaptive will pick up patterns where they only see the negative. And that sucks. That's one of the hardest battles I've been fighting in my life.
Yeah.
Is to reframe the perspective that things are good for me. Things are great for me. I've had amazing opportunities.
Yeah.
And I more often than not, I'm definitely one of those people. I more often than not will see that at the crap that I've had to live through.
Yeah.
And I almost wear it like a badge of honor.
Yeah, like as if you should be proud about that part of your life, right?
And that is the the base of my depression, the depression that I struggle with.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from. I too, my personal, sometimes what I get stuck is like, or stuck where I'm like, I see some of the things that I've done negatively to people still in my life, you know, and I've talked about that a couple of times where, you know, I say something or I do something and that triggers them, and it's because of something that I've done prior, right? And they've now associated this Danny with that Danny who was mean, you know, and hurtful and said mean things and did mean things, because I did not. I was like, I have this thing where I did not have a dad. I grew up rough. I mean, you know, we did not have a lot of money. We did not have a lot of things. And so I was, that's why I am the way that I am.
Yeah.
You know, and I would put that push. That's why I am the way that I am.
Yep.
You know, and then as you get older, you're like, wait, okay, I'm going to stay in that position. I'm going to stay like that. I'm going to stay there. I'm going to be mean just to be mean. And now I'm going to like continue to push people away from me, and people are going to get turned off by who I am.
Yeah.
And then put some alcohol in me, and man, it's like 100 times. And then I'm like, no filter, no settle down, no backing down.
Yeah.
And one thing that like I really, really try to do is really try to be like interested in what you're interested in, and be like, hey man, you are doing such a good job. Like, hey, you are kicking ass at right now. You are doing, it may not be, you know, the top level tier that you want to, that you think that you should be at, but you're middle tier right now, and your trajectory is up, right? Even if you're struggling mentally, you know, it's like, hey man, you look nice today. Yeah. You know, like, hey dude, you look good today. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it catches people off guard when you tell somebody you look nice today, and all of a sudden they're like, well, I didn't do my hair, and you know, you know, they compliment. Oh yeah. You're like, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, man. Yeah, just slow down. Just say thank you. Stay in the present. But guys in particular, you're not used to getting compliments. No. And it's such a weird thing, but if I said you were a piece of shit, oh, you'd own that. You'd be like,
you'd posture up and you'd be like, oh yeah, well you're a piece of shit too. Yeah, it goes one of two ways, right? Yeah, I think it's interesting because as I work these steps, right, you know, if anybody who's gone through Alcoholics Anonymous, my particular flavor is Al-Anon. It's for family members of alcoholics and or narcs anonymous. So not necessarily people that have had active addictions, but I think our definition of addictions is very narrow, right? We see these, we have to see addictions as destructive patterns in our life. Oh, okay. And for me, it's this destructive pattern of thinking, and like I said, that learned pattern of helplessness with the you know, saying, oh, my parents were divorced. And one of the things that AA will have you do is write down an inventory of all of the places where you've hurt people. And for me, it was like, where have I held resentment? Sure. Where have I hurt people with resentment? And how do I start inventorying that? And it really is kind of, to me, like it reminds me of one of those things you dump sand or dirt in and you like sift it out, right? Like you keep sifting it out. Okay. I'm mad at my parents because they got divorced and I didn't have, okay, so what does that really mean? Okay, well, they were divorced, and so I didn't look like the other Mormon families that I grew up with. Okay, so I didn't look like that. Okay, well, actually, and you keep asking yourself why until you get to that root cause. And if you can do that enough times, then you can get to like the real crux of why you're feeling the way that you feel. Why do I feel the way that I feel? Yeah, I understand. Right? And so when I lash out at my ex-partner, and when I lash out at my children, like I start to understand myself better because I've explored myself better. Right. And the next step is, okay, where are these things becoming unmanageable, and where do I need to put God in, or where do I need a higher power to help me out? Yeah, because man, like what you have a hard time with, right? Like you struggle with that a lot. Oh yeah. That's a thing that you are like, there was a time when it was like,
No.
Yeah.
Even like right now, when you said to put God in there, it like almost caught me off guard because I was like, how you talk about that right there is we've had some serious conversations about God.
Yeah. And even the other day in the gym, like professor brought up God and I was like, oh man, I don't believe in him. I don't believe in him. And he's like, oh man, you can't think like that. And so hopefully we'll get a session on God. But like, I do believe that I have this fascination with Native American culture and the creator, the concept of the creator or creation. And so I've gone out and I've surveyed other people in ex-Mormon groups and in ex-Mormon settings. Like, how do you rebuild your faith? How do you find God after you've kind of gone through this transition? And for me, the number one thing that keeps coming back is gratitude.
Sure.
Gratitude is the base of anybody who has had an experience with a high demand religion that ends up going through AA will find gratitude as the basis of their.
Well, and honestly, like being able to put, like not knowing means that you trust something, right? Not knowing doesn't mean that like I don't trust this. It just means that I trust that there is something that's going to take care of me.
Yeah.
That's going to put rough things in front of me.
Right.
But it's also going to put really, really good things in front of me.
Right.
And which do I see?
Yeah.
Which do I see? Do I see the rough things? Sometimes.
Yeah.
Can I then flip the script, change the narrative, and see that there's something out there that is going to take care of me?
Yeah.
That is going to.
Yeah.
When we've talked about like, God and stuff, and I've told you before, like to me, man, I don't question it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't question whether there's one. I don't question whether there's not. I just know that there's something.
There's something.
Something that takes care of me. That and sometimes when I'm not sleeping well and I'm like, man, I'm at the top and I'm at the tip of and I cannot cope and I have no coping skills. I pray and I give all of my trust to whoever I'm praying to.
Yeah.
And those coping skills at that moment, I fall asleep and I trust that something's going to take care of me.
Yeah.
Right? And with men especially, because you live in this world of who you're supposed to be and who you expect to be and what expectations are of you from all of the people around you.
Yeah.
Right. You have this idea and this fantasy of what you're supposed to be, and you see the fantasy, right? You see, like, man, if you spend enough time on social media, they'll tell you what a man's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
You'll see all this like muscly defined.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the funniest things that Wes, what is his name? Wes Weston?
I don't know. I'm not.
I think his name is Wes. I may be saying it wrong. I apologize if he ever listens to this and I got it wrong. I'm sorry. But one of the funny things he says is Mexicans are not able to become muscularly defined. If you look at a Mexican, they cannot become muscularly defined. And I've always been like, I mean, I'm not, and then I'm like, man, I'm not like that muscularly defined. But then I'm like, I have some definition, but it's like, it's funny because then I'll look at a Mexican and I'm like, oh, that's what he's talking about. Big barrel chested, small, really small butt cheeks, not tiny legs, And I think, man, if I was to like buy into what he was saying, I would be bummed. I would be bummed. That dude would not make me feel good. Like if he said that kind of thing, I'd be like, man, I'm bummed.
I truly do hate the cult of personality that has popped up due to social media. There's and it's obviously, yes, I'm preaching against what I like to do, and that is coach other men, because I believe we need that we benefit from each other, right? If my experience can help somebody else out, and I'm I'm not going to say I'm going to not profit from it, because I charge my clients. I don't charge my clients more than it would cost to go to a therapist.
Sure.
I don't have a $10,000 program. I'm not a high ticket coach. I just don't believe in it. I believe in the work that I'm doing. And even though my work is still in progress, I do believe that there's benefit to this community, but we see these high ticket coaches, and I think he's one of them.
Yeah.
He's one of them that sells a high ticket item. And I think there's people that can do that, and there's people that can afford that. And I
also think that he sells something, right?
Yeah.
Like a salesman is a good salesman.
Yes.
Right. I believe that you and I help men that want to be helped.
Right.
If you change and you grow better, if you are a better person, in my mind, that to me is payment enough.
Exactly. And my goal as a coach, and my goal as an IFC coach that has gone through a process of certification, the International Coaching Foundation, there is a standard for the type of coaching that can be done. And my goal is to not tell you what to do. If I tell you what to do, you haven't hired a coach, you've hired a consultant.
Agreed.
You've hired a consultant, somebody to tell you what to do. And that's great.
If you need me to yell at you and tell you you're a piece of shit, that's not going to help you.
I can do that, and I can charge 6 figures to do that.
Yeah,
trust me. You probably won't get a whole lot out of it. But if I can help you, I think I've used this term before, but if I can help you see the label from inside the jar,
sure,
then I've taught you how to fish.
Yeah.
And I haven't just given you fish. I've taught you how.
Yeah, agreed. And I think the hardest thing for men to accept is help.
Yes.
You want a guy, you're like, no, tell me how to look like you. Tell me how to act like you. Tell me how to be you. Tell me how you did what you did so I can mirror and mimic it. And I can then live a false narrative through what you're doing. But I'm never, maybe 5%. I'm talking out of my ass, but a small percentage get it correctly. Well, the rest of them are paying for a service of a salesman.
Right.
They're buying a car from that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that you get sold.
And every couple months you got to buy a new car.
Yeah.
Or your car breaks down and now you need to buy the part that is going to make that car run again. What the hell? Yeah. I don't want to see you again.
Right.
I want to see you in a different light. I want to see you grow and helping other persons. And that's how I approach it.
I agree. And I think that there are some cases where having somebody tell you what to do in a particular situation for a particular XYZ outcome, you and I in jiu-jitsu, we maybe see ourselves as black belts.
Right.
And so we need professor to guide us. Now our journey is different on that path because it's so freaking long, but somebody that's wanting to get, biceps or triceps or six pack, right? There may be a very prescriptive pattern that works. Now, is that the right pattern for you? You may go through 4 or 5 or 6 of these different guys, other guys that are billing themselves as coaches to get to that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you're in this space of paying, you've invested. It's an investment, right? And I believe investing in yourself. Professor talks about that a lot. And I think it's one of the greatest things that he says. He says, and I'm going to probably get it wrong. When he comes on, I'd really like for him to explain it a little bit more. But you're investing in this jiu-jitsu. If you were investing in something that was giving you quick fixes, it'd be a bad investment.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually it would be a bad investment because you're probably going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get burnt out.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to be there. So you're really not doing a good investment.
Right.
But if you keep coming back and you keep wanting to come back and you keep wanting to learn and you keep wanting to go, like tonight, if you are after class, after 20 rounds, we did a class, 20 rounds, and there was a group of us that stayed on the mat and kept rolling.
Yeah.
And kept on there. If you are interested that much in something, you are making a good investment in yourself. You are going to gain from this, right? So what are we investing in? We're investing in what professors teaching us. Mm-hmm. We're investing in each other.
Yeah.
We're investing in the academy.
Yeah.
Yes. There are investments that you can do that are really good investments. And some of them are so fleeting and they're really bad investments. Maybe you have the means to do it. Not a lot of people do. And I think that that's the problem that I have, that I really have been struggling a lot with social media because, sometimes I'll put some things together for our podcast and I'll put them on social media. And a lot of times I feel good about it, but then I think like I'm spending so much time to see if people are looking, if we're getting an audience, and I hate it because it's like, it's not who I am.
Yeah.
I don't want to sell that.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't want to sell you something that you cannot believe in.
Right.
I want you to be like, I really enjoy listening to Danny and Tyler, what they have to say. One day I hope to meet them. One day I hope to train with them. One day I hope to shake their hands, because something that they said changed an outlook or how I approached something.
You want to hear a wild story? And this is probably good to bring up here, but we did our men's ascent course, right? Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity to follow up with one of the men that was in the men's ascent course. I don't necessarily have permission to share his story, but I do want to just provide you an update. But there was a young man that was there, and we'll keep it anonymous just for his sake. But there was a young man that was there that was really struggling, didn't have a job, was into computers, and was like, had just moved back home. And you could tell at the ascent meeting that he was really depressed and upset. I had the opportunity to speak with this young man's mother not too long ago, and I just said, "Hey, how is he doing?" And she said, "He is doing so good. He has landed a job. He's moved out on his own again. He was like really grateful and fired up after your ascent course." And cool, and that's why we do it, right? Like we kind of forget that we touch these people's lives.
Agreed.
Because that course was, when did we do that? End of last summer, like August.
And when we talk about with each other what we've done for each other, because we've had like disagreements.
Yeah.
We have things that we do not agree on.
Yeah.
Right. God being one of those things, where I've told you, like, Tyler, I don't like that you're doing this, that you're saying this. Right. Yeah. But we always can find common ground and a common unity in each other, in the fact that, like, what we see for our future and what we see for our children's futures and what we see for each other's future is good. We don't have to, like, me personally, I don't need to look that far ahead of what I need to do to make things better.
Right.
I need to make sure that I'm living my life the way that I feel comfortable doing. Right. Mm-hmm. And if I don't feel comfortable making social media posts, I know that you're not going to be like, "Hey, Danny, you need to get on the social media train. You need to get on that." I don't think that you're ever going to force me to do something that I'm not comfortable doing, or that that, like, I struggle with. Right.
Yeah.
But if you're like, "Hey, man, like, this is how I see things. Mm-hmm. This is what I think you need to be better at," then I'm like, I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Saying thank you and saying fuck you could mean the same thing,
Well, I think it's interesting too. I mean, you're right. If I surround myself with people that all think like me, right? If all my friends watch CNN or all my friends watch Fox News, like, we start to suffer from groupthink, and we don't necessarily start progressing. Yeah, we just start perpetuating the same ideas.
Yeah, agreed.
And so I think that's why we need to have. Like, we need to learn it. As men, we need to learn civil discourse. We need to learn to disagree.
Agreed.
Right? Like, and I think that's why road rage, as we talked about in the last episode, is such bullshit.
It is bullshit.
We all think that we're better drivers than we really are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we all, like, there's, as far as I'm concerned, there are 16 drivers that are the best in the world, and those guys in Formula One.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those guys are the best. Nobody can compare to them. Nobody can do what they can do. We are not them. We're not even on the same level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's so interesting. It's so funny. Misty and I went to Colorado for that concert over the weekend. And I'm still blown away by this venue that we go to. It's the Las Colonias amphitheater in Grand Junction. And we go there, and the people that are performing there have usually performed in these huge arenas. And this little small arena is so mom and pop and so small and so cordial and so like it feels like it's so together because people are just like nice, right? But these two of the biggest dudes that I've ever seen in my entire life. One guy's in the front row, one guy's right behind him, and they are ginormous men.
And they're right in front of you, of course.
Thank God this time, no. Thank God this time. But the guy that was in the front row, he's standing, and he is loving life. He is so stoked. He's singing, and the stage. I'm not telling when I tell you that this performer is right in front of him. The performer is right in front of him, and the performer is like, he is stoked that this guy is. He's the only one standing up, screaming, singing, and the guy behind him is, I mean, he looked like a giant when he stood up. Tapped that guy on the shoulder and said, "Sit down now." And I was like, what? I'm sitting there like watching this like, uh-oh.
About to see the clash.
This is about to see what happens. And the guy looks at him and goes, "No." And he goes, "Sit down." And the guy said, "I paid for these tickets." "No." And I'm thinking, oh, this is like, yeah, this is these two dudes, and they stood there looking at each other. The guy in the front row sits down, and he's not happy. The guy that told him to sit down looks back, and he's like, he's got this like, "That's right, I'm the man." Look, right? And I was sitting there, and I was like, I was torn. Grateful because I kind of couldn't see. But then I was like, the guy's right. He paid for the tickets. So I go up to the security guard and go, "Hey, what's the rule on that? What's the rule? What, can he stand?" He goes, "He can stand right in front of his seat." He stands in front of his seat. He's more than welcome to. And I was like, oh, I'm cool with that then. And these two go back and forth. So the guy in the front decides, you know what? I'm standing up. I don't care what you say. Stands up. And the other guy goes in front of him, and he's looking at him, and he goes and flips him off. And I'm thinking, what in the world? What? This is insane. These two ginormous men are thinking that they're this. The rest of everybody getting along great.
Yeah.
But these two men had to be in front of each other. They could not, the whole entire rest of the concert, they could not find common ground. They were chirping at each other, telling each other to fuck off, and each of them thought they were right.
Right.
And I was like,
did they seem like grown adults or did they seem like children?
No, they look like children.
Right. Like, that's what's funny. Like, I've had to step back from some of my own behavior, but like, you see this child coming out.
Well, and I was like, okay, who's right? And both of them felt that they were right. And that's where I think, like, that's where I struggle with as a man, where I'm like, hey, we can, what if we just were like, hey, you're standing in front of you. The guy that was there, he could have stood up and seen over the top of him. He was that big.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he felt, I'm in the way of all these people behind me. I can't stand. How many times has that man stood up and people have been like, "Hey, come, please. Why are you standing in front of me?"
Yeah.
And his whole life is like, you know what? I can see from here.
Yeah.
And he thought he was being a good dude by sitting down because he was huge. He had to have been 6'7", 6'8", easily, and almost that size wide. But it was like one of those things where I thought about it for a while of like, well, the guy that's standing is not wrong. And the security guard was like, no, it's not. No, they can stand in front of your seat. Just don't stand on top of your seat. Stand in front of your seat. And I was like, gosh, man, this is what a turmoil, what a complex turmoil that these men are struggling with. Then you times that by like really like alcohol or some aggressive guy of like, I've been told that I'm supposed to punch you in the face when we disagree, and we're supposed to fight. We're supposed to square up. And I thought, I don't want to be in that world anymore, and I'm really trying my hardest to figure out a way to like continue to help men of like you said, like, hey, we don't have this thing figured out. None of us do, but we can learn. We can all learn, and we can all be graceful, and we can all be grateful.
Yeah.
Just be grateful.
Right.
We don't have to agree. We don't have to see eye to eye.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's what's so fascinating about gratitude, right? Is it pulls you into the present, and you have to do it. For me, it has to be a daily practice. It has to be a religious practice. And I notice those of you who follow social media, you'll see a difference in when I was posting a lot, and then when I've gone silent, post Nick's passing, and like processing all of that, like it disrupted my gratitude practice, and it's disrupted my ability to find and see and understand that there is good yet to come for Tyler Clark.
For sure. Yeah, there is. There is. And as long as you surround yourself with people that challenge you, that cheer for you, and that call you on your bullshit every once in a while, you're going to grow as a person. We don't know what the future holds for us because, truthfully, because life is fleeting. I mean, tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So living right now and finding this idea to just live in whatever happens today, not live in the past because that's your ghosts. Like you said, that's the kind of thing that makes you angry. It makes you frustrated. It makes you pissed because things didn't work out for you in certain areas. Right. And you always tend to lean on what didn't work out for Danny. And then now I'm like, that sucks. Danny didn't have a dad.
Yep.
And I still don't have a conversation with my dad. Misty asked me the other day, hey, when's the last time you talked to your dad? And I was like, I haven't called him. He hasn't called me, but I'm not mad at him anymore. I'm not angry with him.
Yeah.
I think you asked me if about the dad. Do I call my dad dad? I do call my dad dad. And when I see my dad, it's like, I hug him. I tell him I love him. And I talk about my dad, and everybody's stoked to see me and my dad together. It happens maybe once every 2 or 3 years, and people have the idea that him and I have a good relationship. And I think we do. I think we have an okay relationship. But if I start to think about it and I start to think that I haven't talked to him for a while, I get pretty grumpy.
Yeah.
And my wife and them feel it,
Wow.
If I think about some of the things that I did to my wife when we first got married, that version of Danny, I get really mad at myself.
It's funny you use this term, being in the past. Those are your ghosts.
Those are your ghosts.
And I mean, that's true. When we find that we are, I'll speak for myself, and I know from my own therapeutic experience and working with Joe, depression really is founded in that, in the past. Right. Depression is founded, even if you're dwelling on the good times, you're likely to become depressed because you are stuck in the past. Anxiety was the other emotion on the opposite end of depression, is usually some sort of conspiracy theory you're telling yourself about the future.
Yeah.
You need to be somewhere. You need to do something. You need to.
Yeah. Fantasizing.
You're fantasizing.
You're fantasizing. That's the other thing about if you're not living in the presence and you're like, man, I'm trying not to live in the past. You're thinking about the future. Yeah. And you're trying to fantasize this thing to come together. Yeah. And you're, like you said, you're trying to I'm trying to make this life that yes, today is going to happen, but I can't force tomorrow. Right. Man. Yes. There's this idea that infinite amount of money is going to make you happy. Right. It's not. Right. I do believe what Bob Marley says. What is wealth? What is rich? Yeah. What is rich? Money? Because I don't have a lot of money. Yeah. I have a lot of friends. Right. I have a very rich life. In my personal opinion, Danny's life is very rich. I am so blessed for what happened, tonight, for being able to sit here and talk with you, to be able to to voice how I feel about things. I'm very rich. Yeah. My wife told me some really, really cool news today. She told me some things that it brought a tear to my eye, and I was so proud of her. And I had no idea that she was doing it, and she had done it by herself. And I was like, oh my gosh, man, she is so strong, and I think that about things. And like you said, if we're grateful, if you just show gratitude, and there's times that you're just not going to, right. You're going to be pissed. You're going to be depressed. You're going to have some ghosts going on, and you're going to be like, shit, this didn't work out. Nick's passing, and this weekend is going to be rough for you guys. Yeah. It's going to be rough for you guys. Yeah. But it's also going to be beautiful because what Nick would expect from you. Yeah. Or vice versa. If the shoe was on the other foot, what would you expect from Nick if the shoe was on the other foot? Yeah. And if we live in that past, or if we fantasize about the future, we're doing such a disservice to ourselves, and we're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to find that rich life,
Right.
We're not going to be able to find it. We're not going to be able to have fun at jiu-jitsu, getting our asses kicked and crushed by Hodong and, him just trying to smush you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I didn't die today.
Yeah. It's so true. So presence. Presence, I think, is important. I think there are areas where I specifically try to be present, and I understand my own functional freeze state. When I'm at work, it's time that they're paying for, so I try to be present at work and do work things. I will turn off social media. I will, unless it's an emergency, I will somewhat put my kids and family on the back burner.
Sure.
When I come home from work, believe you me, work is muted. I am not answering emails. I am not engaging in Slack conversation. I'm not on LinkedIn. My focus is on my family, or if I'm at the gym. I think that's a beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is you have to be present or you die.
For sure.
And tonight's moves were particularly brutal.
And the tiny details, right, of life, and the tiny details of like making sure that you do stay in that moment were very present today with the class, and then the rounds, because when you see the people that come on and you're like, dude, I need to protect myself, and I think that's part of it with like with some of those things with depression and struggling as a man in the past. You need to understand that is painful. Yeah. That is painful. Yeah. And if you're not careful, like you're going to get smothered.
Well, don't be afraid to ask for directions.
Don't ask questions.
Don't be afraid to ask for directions. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
What was it last week? You said be curious. Always be curious.
Yeah, curiosity.
Always have curious. Always like encourage like curiosity. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going down that question. Let's find some more questions. Yeah. Let's keep asking questions.
Yeah. Seek to understand, even yourself. Yeah. Even you get curious about why am I holding on to that? Why am I holding on to that resentment? Why am I holding on to that thought? Why am I holding on to that belief that I believe that this guy should sit down and I have the right to demand him to sit down? Yeah. Why? Yeah. Why do I feel the need to stand in front of the guy who asked me to sit down? Because he didn't ask me politely?
Because he didn't ask me politely.
Right? Like I understand, like it's frustrating that the concert venues kind of put you in these scenarios. Agreed. You're at a band, you're like when you're seeing somebody good that you kind of want to bop to, you want to move to, you want to stand up, especially when you're in those front rows. God. Right? Like, and I think that's why some of the bigger artists have solved that by having the pit, right? Yeah. Like the stand up around the
those seats in the front.
Yeah. And they're like stupid expensive. I think Morgan Wallen's like pit tickets were like $3 or $4 grand. Taylor Swift's or something insane.
Insane.
You know what I mean? So, but these little venues that I like to go to, because I don't love the stadium show. I don't want to be around that many people. Yeah. I love the intimate concert setting
which was even funny because when we went to the reggae concert, we complained about the fact that like everybody's bumping into us. Yeah. We're like, we're at a reggae concert. Man. Yeah. Yeah. And then when you're in that present state of mind, you can find happiness. Like you can find happiness. You're like, okay, man, like we had a good time. Like I had a good time and it was cool. And I love learning. I love seeing new. We went on we drove from, not to change the subject, but this just popped in my head. We drove from, we turned down from Rangeley and drove down into Grand Junction. I think it was Fruita. We came into Fruita, but it's called Douglas Pass. Mm-hmm. And I thought about you because it was Douglas, right? Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you've ever been on Douglas Pass. I haven't. It is. So there's, I've never been, I think I talked about this before. I've never been scared of heights. I've never been scared of like nothing. I mean, I jump in the river, I jump in the lake, no life jacket. I've never been scared of very many things. But this Douglas Pass, you go up and all of a sudden you are coming down and it is like straight down. I mean, it is like this. And I thought, oh man, that's just going to suck on the way back because you're on the other side of the road and it's like straight up and down. Yeah. Well, I had drank a little bit more than I should have. So Misty drove a little bit and she's driving. She's driving and the curves say 20 miles an hour, sharp curves. And I kind of like glance over and she's like 35, 40 because she has a heavy foot. And I'm like, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. And we come around a corner and it is a sharp ass turn. And she's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I'm like, slow the fuck down, slow the fuck down. And I was like, we were driving up this thing and I was looking over the edge like, oh my God, because it is straight up.
That's
it is straight up and it's windy. And she would a couple times she'd go fast and the road is a little uneven. She's like, yeah, she sneaks over on the shoulder and I was like, oh my gosh. But I thought, when did I end up like this? How did I end up, like nervous and cautious of like these things? But it's a cool little drive, man. If you ever go from 40 to 70, you can either go a little bit past Dinosaur and cut through Rangeley and then come into Glenwood or Rifle.
Yeah.
But this one goes straight down to Fruta. And it is, man, it is beautiful.
Anything to stay off 6.
Well, of course.
Because 6 is just gross.
Yeah, we always go 40 and then down to 70.
Unless it's wintertime. Like the last time we came back from Colorado, we did that down through Steamboat.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But because it was wintertime, I'm guessing Rangeley was winter.
Oh, it's probably closed.
It was probably closed.
That road's closed for sure. I think it was closed in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a little jaunt, but I remember like thinking about like the Douglas Pass.
Yeah.
And this is Tyler's Pass.
It's me pass. It's my pass.
Yeah.
My pass. Oh man, I appreciate the conversation.
Same.
What do we got going on? We got by the time this comes out.
You got a busy week, man. I'm sure you'll feel the warmth of everybody around you and the fact that like you guys are going to go through this and it's going to be rough and give your mom a big hug for me and tell her I'm thinking about her and
we'll do. We are. There's been some requests to live stream the celebration of life for people that can't make it. Well, of course, the only way I can do that is on the podcast channel. So, if you're a fan of the podcast, it may be available to you.
Oh, very cool.
To watch.
I think maybe we go live. Like maybe we can go live and just put that you're going live with. Yeah. If we get a chance, like on Friday or something like that. Like, hey, we're going to be live at this time. If you decide to do it, we can do that. Yeah. By this time this comes out, this will
it'll have already happened. So yes, I think I'm going to make it. I've got to go test the internet, but there's some family just due to the circumstances because it is on Father's Day that we've just.
Oh, I forgot.
They can't travel or they don't have the means or for whatever reason.
The next podcast that we do will be out of the bus.
Yes,
we're going to podcast from the bus. The next couple of we have an idea that we're going to try to do this, and I think it'll work. I think our idea is going to be good. I think that when we brainstormed it and we kind of presented it to some people, they were kind of like, "Oh yeah, that's a cool idea."
Yeah.
And so then you guys are gone all next week. Then Father's Day is this Sunday. Huh?
Father's Day is this Sunday.
Man, Father's Day. It's so funny how people like put on the social media that like, oh, it's another day. What does your father want? Nothing. He wants to be known that it's his day, and you're going to tell him to go do a bunch of chores and stuff because it's Father's Day. It's Father's Day. You got to go mow the yard and have a good time.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers barbecuing on their own day.
Yeah. So Trent advised me that I was saying Park City soup. It's sup. It's sup. So like it's like what's up. So when I was saying it, I was saying Park City Soup. I didn't really know how to say it, but it's Park City Sup. So that's going to be on the 21st. That'll be...
honestly, don't remember.
Yeah, I was saying Park City Sup.
Sup.
We'll be out there. I think you're going to try to make it, right? We're going to have the bus out there. We're going to be out there. Bands playing, paddleboarding. This will come out the Friday prior. Mm-hmm. So if you're listening to it right now, it's tomorrow. So it'll be... tomorrow. It's on the 21st of June, I believe. 22nd of June.
22nd of June.
It'll be fun. He's got that big pavilion down there at Jordanelle, rented out. They're going to have paddleboard races. They'll have food trucks. They'll have bands playing. They'll have all kinds of shit that you can do there at Jordanelle. It's a really cool little gig. I don't really have anything going on. We're going to get ready for the super fights, and I'm going to get my bus ready to go on vacations. Yeah, it's going to be a mellow week for me. I got to work a bunch of overtime because had that paycheck and pay cash.
Any news on Hawaii?
So today I heard that most likely I'm going to be on the list of selectees. What that means means nothing.
Yeah,
but it means that I'm at least in the pool of people that could potentially get hired. Well, a guy told me today that he seemed like I had a really good shot because of my longevity in the agency. And like I told Misty, it could be just a year vacation. We could just go out there for a year. They'll pay for it, come back, and we don't like it. We just come home and we just go about our business again. Because I can retire. If I got picked up, I could retire within a year, And so this is just to see if I want to continue to work a little bit longer.
Nice.
When you have nights like tonight, honestly, I second guess if I would ever take it.
Yeah.
Because my life is here, right? And my friends are here. Uprooting myself just for money, I don't know if I'm that kind of a person. Yeah. But if they pay me enough money, I might go. Yeah. We'll see, man. It's a good option, and I don't know. Yeah, I'll leave it out there for the universe to decide. But nights like tonight, when Preston got his 4th stripe, I was like, I had already in my mind been like, no, I'm not going, because man, to see that guy get his black belt would be I would not miss that for the world.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, we have that. I appreciate this conversation. We brainstormed it a little bit, and I think it grew legs like it always does, and we vibed off each other. Thanks for tonight. It was fun. Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks for the rolls, and see you at Park City Jiu-Jitsu or on the next podcast.
See you guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Rise up, don't turn it back.